Good morning, Algebra 2. Mr. Woe here. And once again, are you with me? Well, we're up to part 3 of section 11-2, simplifying radical expressions. And in part 3, we're going to do number 16. And due to time constraints on my side, we're going to wait for number 18 at a later date. So again, trying to figure out the easiest way of doing these problems, and I thought, I'm gonna work I'll have the whole problem worked out, and what we'll do is we'll just go back and rework the problem and talk it through. Okay. So what would be very helpful is pause the video, go ahead and take a moment, write it down. So I'll give you guys a second to do that. And what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and work it out. So here is problem 16. We have a product of two radical expressions. And the first thing we're going to do is anytime we're able to, or anytime you multiply a radical by a radical, as long as you have the same index, we can multiply what's on the inside of the radical. Okay, so that means the fifth root of 125 over w to the 6 times the fifth root of 25v becomes the fifth root of 125 times 25 times v all over w over 6. Okay, now at the same time, try to make sure that you keep your radical symbol over the entire fraction, because that lets us know that we have our radicand is represented as a fraction. All right, the next thing done was taking 125, and I know it's a perfect cube, so I write it as 5 cubed. And I know 25 is a perfect square, and I wrote it as 5 squared. Now you're probably already saying to yourself, I know why you did this, but I want to just show it to you so you can see it. Then the next line down is a power times a power. They both have the same base of 5, so we can add together the exponents. All right. Next is we can take this whole radical and split it up into two radical factors. So by taking, again, I think I'll do it in green. No, I'll do it in a purple. I took this part right here and wrote it like this, and I took this part right here and wrote it this way. That, again, you can do that because that's the product property of radicals. Now the next part is just application of your power rules. Well, I know that 5 to the 5th divided by w to the 5th, we can rewrite it as a power to a power. Okay? Because I know 5 to the 1/5, 5 to the 1 to the 5 is 5/5. And you'll see it when you work it out. All right, the next thing we did is now if you look at the power of your radicand and your index is the same, they cancel each other out. Now again, if you don't believe me, you can go and I'll do it for you. Otis, taking this part right here, show you how I got 5 over w. I need to push my paper up a little bit. Show you how we got 5 over w. Well, this part right here is a radical expression, so I can rewrite it as a rational expression. Yep, I said the wrong word. Radical expression. So again, power to a power, you multiply your exponents. That's a w, not a 4. And we know 5 divided by 5 is 1, and you're left with 5 over w. So that's where we get the 5 over w from this part right here. All right, this part right here of the fifth root of v over w is we used the quotient property of radicals, and I made it into a numerator over a denominator. Now again, I circled this in green because one of the rules in algebra is you can never have a radical in the denominator of a fraction. So what we got to do is what is called rationalizing the denominator. So what we got to do is we got to take our denominator and we have to multiply it by another fifth root so that we eliminate the fifth root. So to do that, I have to multiply the fifth root of w times the fifth root of w to the fourth. Now the reason we do that is because when you have a radical times a radical, you can add or multiply these two powers because they have the same base. So 1 plus 4 is 5. Okay. Now what you do in the denominator, you do the same thing in the numerator. So if you look at this step right here down to this step right here is setting it up, getting it so we can rationalize the denominator, or in other words, getting rid of the radical expression. So radical times a radical, that's where we get the fifth root of vw to the fourth. Fifth root of w times the fifth root of w to the fourth is the fifth root of w to the fifth. Again, simplifying that gives you w. And we have a w times this w, power times a power, again gives you w squared. And here is our final product, or actually, here's our final product. Simplified down into it. All right. Again, thank you guys. Working on my next video. Again, catch you later. Bye.